When you're leading a cycling trip, whether it's a tour or just a short half-day trip, there's three key elements of understanding how to look after a bike that you should know as a leader. The first one is how to put a chain back on, or to explain to your participants how to put a chain back on. The second one is how to quickly change a tyre or change the tube in a tyre rather than repairing it on the road. And the third one is just to explain to the students or the participants how to change gears. And often it's the incorrect use of gears that means that the chain comes off, and it's obviously sometimes the incorrect use of the gear that causes students to get exhausted or having to get off the bike to push up small hills and stuff like that. So those three key things are probably the main things you need to concentrate on when you're preparing to lead a group. So conveniently today, my bike has had a flat on the front tyre here. So we're just going to quickly go through how to change the tube in that tyre. So if you're out on the road, you could quickly get back on track, or the student could get back on track, and then I'll repair that tube after the tour once we've got back. I've requested all my participants to carry a spare tube so that we're not repairing on the side of the road, and we can quickly swap over and get back on going with the tour. And tubes range from sort of $8 to $12, so it's easy to have one in their backpack, in their toolkit, and just swap it over. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to take your tyre off. In this case here, we're at the front of the bike, the tyre at the front, so it's quite easy just to lift the front wheel off. If you've got a puncture in the back tyre, then you need to obviously loosen and take the chain off as well. The next thing is to get your tyre levers out so that you can get the actual tyre off, so you can remove the tube and take out and replace the tube with a new tube. So I've got a new tube here, I've got my tools, and I've got the tyre levers here. So then you tuck the tyre levers in underneath the rim. Let's loosen this here to ensure that we can get that out easy enough. So you just need to take this little ring off so that this part of the tube here, the valve, can be taken out when you replace the tube and a new one put back in. Don't lose that. Then you pop your tyre levers in underneath the rim of your tyre so that you can slide it along and get your tyre all the way off. Once you've done that, you can pop it right off the side and get your tube out. So once you've got the rim of your tyre off along the edge here, you can simply just pull your tube out all the way around. And remove your tube. You can repair it later, or use it for something else, or buy yourself a new one. And the thing that's then worth noting is that I'm pretty sure for this puncture I probably got a bit of glass through these. These are quite thin-walled tyres, so it's worth now rolling your tyre right off, because you want to check that there's no glass or anything that would re-puncture a new tube when you put it back on. So it's worth checking, rolling your finger along that, making sure that there's nothing sitting on the tape on the inside of your tyre there, or your rim, sorry, that would puncture it. The other thing that's worth looking at is just to look along the surface of your actual tread to make sure, and I run my fingers quite hard along here, that there's nothing embedded in there. And on the inside, so do it with both fingers on inside and out to make sure whatever punctured your tyre is still not in there. And I'm feeling with both my fingers on the inside. I'm pressing quite hard. So hopefully it's not a bit of glass, because then I'll end up my fingers, but all the way around. And just have a good look and make sure there's nothing in that tyre that will re-puncture a new tube. And do that reasonably quickly. And then when you're ready, pop the rim back on one side of your tyre, or pop it in here. All the way around. So you've got it in on one side, and once you've done that, you can put your new tube in. It's easier to put your new tube in when you've got a bit of air in it. Makes it a little bit easier. I might actually have a bit too much air in this one. I might have to let some out, but we'll see how we go. So pop it in here, roll it along underneath here. Once you've done that, you've got to use your tyre levers again to get the other side of the tyre on. The trick here is to make sure you don't pinch the tube as you run the tyre back in to the in. I might actually let a little bit of air out. Just to ensure it's not going to once you've made sure it's not, the tube's not catching, and you've got your tyre back in, you popped it back in with your tyre levers, you need to just pump it up. You can use your normal pump that you have on your bike, or if you happen to be at home like I am at the moment and you have a good bike pump that you use at home, you can simply pump that up. The tyre pressure is on the tyres. You can actually do this by putting it back on your bike if you wish, or you can do it here like I am now, just so you can easily see it. And then you need to take it to the pressure that your bike is. These are high pressure tyres, so I need to take them up to basically 100. And that's it. Just it should be tight, so you can't really push your thumbs in, depending on what sort of bike you have and what sort of high pressure tyres, or each bike's different, each tyre's different. Then you can simply just pop it back on to your front forks, making sure I've got a little computer system on this, so I've got to just make sure it's on the right side. And in this case I got it off without releasing the brakes, but I'm going to have to release the brakes to get it back on again. So just release them like that, so you get a nice clear point to put them back on. You've got a little thing here, you tighten up, and then you can tighten it right up, and also you can pop your brakes back on. Some people got quick release brakes, which makes things a whole lot easier. These are pretty quick release, and make sure they're sitting in the right place. That's simply how you change a tyre. Put a chain back on. You need to, if your chain comes off, and it's sitting, so say in this case it's sitting down tucked inside here, like so. Your participant's chain is completely off. You need to lift it back on by placing it simply back on your cogs, like so, and then lift the back wheel, spin the pedals. But so then once you've put it back over, give it a couple of spins and it drops into place. And finally, you need to explain to your participants just how to use the gears. Explain to them when they're going uphill that they need to change before it comes under pressure, before the chain comes under pressure. If they leave it too late, the chain can tend to drop off, and what gears are for what terrain. So which gears help them get up the hills easier, which don't. You may ask the students or the participants at the start who knows how to use their gears, and most people will say yes, but then it'll become obvious as you start cycling in a group that there are some people that aren't quite across it, or they're having problems. And you just need to take time at the start to make sure everybody's comfortable with that. Ride beside them, tell them how to change, so that they can have an enjoyable time. If you're riding for 30 or 40 kilometres, even if it's not that hilly, you still need to have some basic gear changes, otherwise they'll be very tired and frustrated by the end of the day. So just take the time to allow them to go through that and know that they know how to use it. So once you've got that done and the participants are happy, your bikes are ready, it's time to go.